Hey everybody, what's going on? Baru here, back inside of Borderlands 2 to bring you all another build for Borderlands 2. Now, I've been getting a lot of requests to make a Salvador build, but considering I've already have one, I wanted to make another one, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit. This one's going to be based entirely on Salvador's Brawn tree, which means that we are not going to be using any Moxxi healing from grog nozzles or what have you. We're going to be going purely based off his health regen, which is actually pretty powerful. We'll be taking this through the overpower levels. So let's go ahead and go over the gear first that we're going to be using. We're going to be using a practice ball interfacer, both a shock and slag version, and I also potentially can use a conference call of the two different elements in case I want to go long range, but I typically try and just put myself right next to the enemy. Now, the thing that's really nice about having interfacers is that you increase the critical damage of the other interfacer by having two of them. For those who don't know, the interfacer has passive critical on it, so you're basically going to have a constant, I believe, 120% critical hit bonus by having two interfacers out. Now we have the other things that we're going to be using, which is the dynamic Lady Fist. The reason for the Lady Fist is because there are enemies that fly around at pretty annoying rates, and the interfacer is just too slow to hit them. Now, you could use a conference call, or you could use a Lady Fist. I opt to go for the Lady Fist because when I wield two of them, I've got 1800% critical hit damage. And then we have a Neo to increase our maximum health, a Blood of the Ancients to increase not only our maximum health, but as well as shotgun maximum ammo. This is very important as the interfacer can eat through ammo very quickly. If you want to replace the Neo, you could potentially go Rough Rider, but I like to have the shield for extra. I like to have the shield for the extra, padding before they dip into my health. And then we have the Longbow Quasar for just general CC. Now let's go ahead and jump into the spec and why this is. I would say it's a pretty strong spec. I've been messing around with it. I managed to go through Sawtooth really without dying, and you really won't have to worry about fight for your life too much because you're always on low health. Health files drop, and that does reset your fight for your life. Anyway, let's go ahead and go over the Gunlust tree first. First, we're going to go locked and loaded for increased fire rate after a reload. After that, we're going Quick Draw for a little bit of extra critical hit damage and some weapon swap speed. This is kind of irrelevant or a small bonus because all I need is one, and I'm Your Huckleberry are more or less useless in this build. You really don't need I'm Your Huckleberry for Lady Fists. They already deal enough damage if you're hitting critical points. And then we have Money Shot for obvious reasons. That final shot dealing a massive amount of damage, and the potential to chain money shots is really nice. Then we have Down Not Out. That way if we go down, which doesn't usually happen too often, but if we do, we get to keep our BrawnZerker. Now going over the Rampage tree, we have Inconceivable. This will make it so that way when we fire a shot, there's a 50% chance based on our health and shield capacity that we won't actually consume ammo. This is really nice because that will lead to less reloading and overall more DPS. Now, some might argue that Inconceivable and Money Shot are bad together because, you could potentially, it could take longer to get to your Money Shot, and that's typically true, but this is more for ammo efficiency than anything else. Next, we have Last Longer to increase our BrawnZerker time. I'm ready already for regenning your BrawnZerker in case you can't get enough kills. And then Yippee-Ki-Yay to extend the duration. Now, whenever you hit an enemy, your cooldown will start cooling down every time you hit an enemy, and this can proc every 3 seconds and will reduce your BrawnZerker by 3 seconds. So, if you can manage to kill enough enemies, I believe the minimum you're going to need to kill is, 7. You shouldn't have too much of an issue keeping a constant BrawnZerker, even without a legendary BrawnZerker class mod. Now let's go over what we're going to be doing in Brawn. First off, we've got Hard to Kill, which gives us 40% maximum health and 1% maximum health per second. That's really nice regen to have. I don't go into Insight because as much as I would like it, I don't have enough points to spend, unfortunately, for this build. Now I put 1 point inside of I'm the Juggernaut for a little bit of extra damage reduction. It doesn't really hurt for 1 point investment. Having 24% damage reduction is really nice. Then we go into asbestos, so that way if we do get a elemental effect damage thing that on us, then it won't last as long. But the more important thing is to get rid of slag. The elemental damage buffs are typically, you know, the Neogenator, which has about an 86% chance to, or elemental resistance. That'll pretty much take care of most of the damage dots, but this will help you get rid of the slag bonus, which is the more important part. Now we're going to go 5 out of 5 into Ain't Got Time to Bleed. That way we've got a little bit more regen. This is more powerful the lower your health is. So once you get down to low health, your health, you'll notice that it just starts shooting up relatively quickly, as you'll notice in the gameplay. All out of bubblegum for a little bit of extra fire rate and some more DPS. Then we go into busts that can't slow down. This is so that way we can move through the battlefield pretty quickly. You'll notice that I'm able to strafe shots at times and get behind enemies and generally avoid getting hit with this skill, so I definitely recommend picking this up. Sexual Tyrannosaurus for extra regen after we get hit. And then Come At Me Bro. This is going to give you a little bit of damage reduction, actually 250% damage reduction for a few seconds, but the big part about this is that it will fully regen all of your health at once, which is really nice. So if you end up finding yourself in a bit of a, well, predicament, then you can just hit that and you've got all your health back. Now you can only use that once per BrawnZerker, but that should be enough. So that is pretty much the build and the spec that we're going to be running through Sawtooth with. I was kind of picking and choosing what I wanted to use, but this build seems to work. And against raid bosses, you are able to actually use this build. Maybe not so much the actual gear. I would recommend using a Herald at points, potentially, if you're going to be fighting a few raid bosses. This can kill Terra pretty easily because he attacks so slow. You've got plenty of time to regen your health. Pretty much every single boss outside of Veracitus will have a hard time killing this build as long as you're dodging attacks at a decent rate. So this should be a pretty functional build, and we'll go ahead and quickly go over where exactly you can acquire all of the gear. So interfacers, these come from Veracitus, the Invincible, or from Omnom Ak, but is a very low drop chance to get it from him. Ladyfists come from the side quest inside of the Arid Nexus from Uncle Teddy. The Neogenator comes from Spycho. Longbow Quasar come from Ultimate Badass Varkids. The Blood of the Ancients you can find from Legendary Loot Midgets, and the Legendary Titan you will find from Tubbies inside of UVHM. Note that you have to be at least level 61 or higher for these to actually drop. So that is the gear, the spec, and everything. I hope you all enjoyed the video and hope you're enjoying the gameplay in the background. I kind of mixed up how exactly I do these videos. Hope you enjoy that. Anyway, I'm going to let the gameplay ride itself out now. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video, everybody. Later.